What's going on, everybody? This is Maximilian, and we're back! Finally, we're back! Pokemon Silver time, everybody. This is actually the last Pokemon game that I ever purchased. I kind of, fell off the fad train, whatever. This was kind of the end of it for me, but I still love this game a lot, because it's got a lot of the reminiscent features of the red and blue and yellow original first-generation games, but the graphics are upgraded, really nice, added a lot more color to it, which was definitely needed. And there's more Pokemon to catch, and you get to play like 2 games in one with both of the regions, so yeah, this game is pretty awesome, even though it's not one of the original first-gen blah 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 whatever. I mean, you can still be a purist and play Silver. It totally works. So anyway, we are getting started, and we are starting off with a bang. I'll get to that in a second later, but if you read the title, you probably already know what's going on here. First things first, gotta get some trainer names down here. Now, first I saw this, I thought, it's a sign, so nothing creative here. Had to go with it. I mean, the game basically threw it at me and said, please, try to pick something other than Max, and I couldn't do it. So, sorry, nothing creative here. We're going to stick with what I always used to do as a kid, and what pretty much everybody else used to do as a kid. Make their own name, or Ash. I don't know, I kind of did that around Red version or whatever, but Silver had my name on it, so like, well, I guess I gotta do it, right? Now, there's a couple of new dynamics that are introduced in this game, one of which is the concept of time, and there are certain Pokemon that will only evolve or come out in the wild at certain times during the day. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to manage this given that I'm playing on an emulator, and I don't know how the game's clock will be managed, but we're going to find out. I do know, however, that the clock goes at twice the normal speed because I set my emulator to play that fast. So this could be interesting. We're going to find out in the future, but first, we're going to pick our starter Pokemon. Now, here's the thing here. Save the game before you pick, because we're going to do something really cool. We are going to get all 3 starting Pokemon in the very first episode. That's right. We're already just getting into the walkthrough, and we are glitching. That's how on the ball we are with this. Excuse me. Had to belch there. Sorry, guys. My apologies. But yeah, I would pick Cyndaquil anyway if I wouldn't be able to get all 3 starter Pokemon, because, he's a boss. But, I mean, when you can have all 3... don't need to play favorites. So just pick any starter Pokemon, it doesn't really matter. But you're going to have to go through several tedious steps a couple of times. It's going to take probably a half hour or so. But I mean, it's much better than starting off with 1 Pokemon and a Pidgey, am I right? Yeah, I'm right. Come on, let me know. If any of you guys would rather start a game with a single starter Pokemon and a Pidgey over all 3 awesome starter Pokemon, well, Chikorita's not that awesome, but she's still better than a Pidgey. Let me know. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to head on over to the west and get to the north of Cherry Grove City as fast as you can. You have to get to Mr. Pokemon's house and do a little bit of a favor for, what's-his-face, Professor Elm. They changed the names of the professor in every Pokemon game, and for whatever reason, he's always named after a tree. I guess it's like some kind of niche motif that Pokemon has going on, whatever. I don't know. Oak sounded kind of cool, but Elm he sounds like a pansy. That's just my opinion. You're going to have to fight your way through a little bit of wild Pokemon to get there. Unfortunately, there's grass in the way everywhere. Except for when you go back, you can kind of circumnavigate the wild Pokemon going back because of the ledges. But yeah, this is going to take a little bit of time, so just be patient. I mean, I suffered through the whole thing too, so it's not like I haven't done anything you guys aren't already going to do, am I right? Alright, so you're going to talk to Professor Oak and Mr. Pokemon, what a creative name. And you're going to get a Pokedex and a Mystery Egg. And you're going to have to take that Mystery Egg back to Professor Elm, because he's going to do some research on it. Blah, blah, blah. This is kind of like the initiation of the storyline for this Pokemon game. And as soon as you walk out, heavens to Betsy! Professor Elm is calling you on your brand new phone. Uh-oh, disaster. Dun 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 dun. Head back to the lab immediately to see what's going on with Professor Elm. Lord knows he's gotten himself into trouble again. The only problem is we have to fight our way through umpteen wild Pokemon to get there. You can fight the wild Pokemon on the way over there if you want to like gain some experience and boost your starter a few levels. I mean, it doesn't hurt because the rival battle, it's always nice to have an advantage. But honestly, compared to Red and Blue, the rival battle, the first one anyway, in this game is so stupendously easy because you have berries that you don't need it anyway. Speaking of rival battle, here he is. He's a long, red-haired douche. And don't really give him a name either. Like, I don't even ever remember seeing him in the show when I watched it. I'm guessing he's just something that was introduced purely for the games. You guys ever watched that show when you were young? You guys had to have watched Pokemon when you were young. Everybody did. That was just the thing at the time. Like, I mean, like way back then, when it first started and they were doing the whole Kanto region thing, first few episodes, it was pretty cool. And then it just got overly dramatic every single episode. And then at some point or another, every Pokemon learned how to dodge. I want my Pokemon to know dodge, for crying out loud. I would love to throw that in the way whenever someone tried to use Supersonic or Hyper Beam on me. Stupid Pokemon are savage cheaters. So yeah, you just run over him with your Cyndaquil or whatever it is that you picked. Hopefully you picked Cyndaquil because he's the best, contrary to what Murkadurka would say. But what does he know? I'm the Pokemon master here. So, go and heal your Pokemon, because having a 4 HP Cyndaquil and trying to walk through a bunch of wild Pokemon is probably not a good idea. Even though you probably could beat them, you don't want to risk it. Now you'll notice that in that battle you recovered with a wild berry automatically. That's another dynamic that was introduced in this game, is the fact that Pokemon can now hold items. So what you can do is you can give them an item like a berry or something that has it says automatic or hold on it. It'll specify in the item column, and you can give it to them, and during battle, whenever they either incur low health or a status ailment, they will automatically use that item without you having to waste a whole turn trying to heal them with a potion or something. So go back into the lab, fill out a police report, and give him your rival name. It doesn't matter what you name him at this point because you're going to be restarting the game a couple of times, so I just named him like A, B, and C each time. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. After you fill out the police report, talk to Professor Elm and give him the egg, and then he'll tell you, go talk to your mom. You don't have to go talk to your mom yet. What you want to do is walk out of there, and after you get some Pokeballs, go bonk around in the grass for a little bit. Catch any wild Pokemon. It doesn't really matter because you're not going to have it once you are completing the glitch. You're going to have to keep catching them for every time you do this, but it's really super easy to catch anything that's out here. Everything here is really weak and low level. Catch something like a level 2 or level 3 Pidgey and you'll be good to go. Now we wait. Hurry up. Come on, Cyndaquil, you can't beat him fast enough. There we go. Now you'll notice that the pack is divided into several sections in this game, unlike your original item box when Red and Blue, which was just a humongous list of items and it only had like 20 spaces in it. So this allows you to carry a ton more items, which is awesome, and it organizes them, which is even better. So you have a special pocket for items, and you also have a special pocket for balls, like because there's like 7 or 8, maybe 9 different balls in this game, I don't know. But I'll get more into that later once we actually get into finding things. You'll end up picking plants off of trees, and you'll take them to a guy who can synthesize them into Pokeballs. But I'll get to that later. Most of them aren't really that good, but you will actually need some of them to get some of the more ridiculous Pokemon. Like I said, we'll get to it later. Now, what you're going to do, this is the most important part. Deposit your starter in the Pokemon box. And what you want to do is change the Pokemon box to like box 2 or something. Whatever it was, doesn't matter. Now, save the game, and as soon as it's scrolling, saving, don't turn off the power. In the middle of that scrolling message, reset the game. What that does is this actually creates a copy of the Pokemon in that Pokemon box, because this abuses the way that Pokemon Silver writes Pokemon data. You can do this actually in the original Red, Blue, and Yellow games, but because of the way that it writes save data is different, you won't actually have a guaranteed copy of the Pokemon, and you can actually corrupt your save data, which would be really bad. So I would not recommend doing that, but Silver has a stable write system, so this is probably the most famous and most abusable glitch in the game, and it's basically Pokemon cloning. So what you do is after you deposit it and reset the game, what happens is when you're saving the game, it first writes the data in the box. For when you are changing your Pokemon boxes, it writes that save data when you switch boxes, and it also writes the data of your party afterwards. Now, when you interrupt the save like that, when you reset the emulator, or your Game Boy, whichever you're playing on, you still have that written copy of all the Pokemon data in the Pokemon box, but your party data is gone because it never gets the chance to write it. So when you restart the game, you're still way back in the beginning when you first started, but you actually have Cyndaquil and Totodile still in the box. They're just sitting there, as if they'd been there all the time. You can actually use this to clone items as well, since Pokemon can hold items in the game. Like, let's say if you deposit like a Chikorita holding a Master Ball, you can use that box glitch to duplicate that Chikorita, and then essentially get yourself 2 Master Balls. Now, it's not nearly as efficient as Missing No. Unfortunately, they got rid of Missing No. They cleaned up their act in this game, but there are still several glitches in this game which can be exploited, and this is definitely the easiest and the most common. So, that's what I would recommend. Now, I went back and got Totodile a second time because I kind of didn't take this into account when I was doing this. I just kind of did them all in order. But you should take the Pokemon that you want your rival to have second, so that way, what you end up with last time, so what I should have done is taken Totodile last, so that way he ends up with Chikorita. That way he ends up with the worst of the 3 Pokemon, and, that's always good. When you can control exactly what your rival has, and you have everything you need to beat him, life is good. So yeah, if you don't want to do it a 4th time like I did, make sure you plan ahead. Otherwise, you'll end up doing something really stupid. But yeah, such is life. You live and you learn. And now we're actually at the beginning of the game, now that we've gotten this all out of the way. So we can actually start playing, like, for real. And not messing around with cloning Pokemon now. We'll probably clone some Pokemon later, don't worry about it. But for now, we're going to actually play the game. Go talk to your mom, and make sure you tell her not to save your money, unlike I did the first time. I think I just kind of got in that habit of mashing A because I'd spent so long just cloning Pokemon and doing the whole monotonous glitch routine again. If you accidentally hit yes, just walk outside and walk back in, then you can tell her to change it. And then you'll be on your way. Now, as for the glitch, I just want to make a note here. You have to do exactly what I did for the first section for all 3 times. You have to go talk to Mr. Pokemon, you have to go back to the lab, battle the rival, fill out the police report, catch a Pokemon, do the box thing, reset, do it again 2 more times if you want to get all the Pokemon. If you miss a step in there, then it has a chance of not working. I'm guessing it won't work because that is essentially the bare minimum that you have to do to actually get it to work. But you have to remember that you have to have an extra Pokemon in your party to deposit your starter, because you can't just empty your pockets in Pokemon. It doesn't work that way. So yeah, just a heads up. Make sure you do things very deliberately and give it a little bit of thought. That way you won't mess it up and you won't have to repeat the whole sequence over again, because having to repeat that entire thing any more than 0 times is a bad thing. Make you rage quit Pokemon, which is never good. Because Pokemon doesn't deserve to be rage quat. I guess, yeah, rage quat. I'm going to start using that term because it should totally be a word. Props to you, Taylor. Pokemon's way too good of a game to be rage quat. Now, keep walking through here. I just tend to battle any kind of Pokemon that I run into, at least for the first parts of the game. Because unlike Pokemon Red and Blue, Yellow, where the gym leaders and the level of trainers weren't really spaced out too well to where you actually had to level grind in order to stay on par. Because this game has so much more trainers and gym leaders, you have a much easier time actually getting on par with their level, and you can even get ahead of it if you just kind of keep at it, your little red-blue habits. So I just tend to battle Pokemon whenever I can in the first section of the game, because the first gym leaders Pokemon are really only I think level 7 and 9 respectively. They're really easy. So if you can walk in there with level 9 Pokemon or level 10 Pokemon, then you are just golden, sitting on cloud 9. And if you can follow that pace for the rest of the game, then you will just absolutely breeze your way through it. Because honestly, the hardest part of this game isn't actually beating the trainers, it's catching the Pokemon. Now, speaking of catching Pokemon, I don't know entirely if I'm going to be able to actually do a catch-em-all, like all 251, because the way Silver was set up, you actually have to be able to trade with Gold as well as Red and Blue, which would make things very awkward. I already know from experiences with playing Red that I won't be able to trade Pokemon between emulators. I know it's possible to do, but if I were to try and import it back into a stable emulator that allows for good recording, then the save data would be corrupted and unreadable. So I just don't even want to mess with that. Granted, I'm going to try and catch as many of them as humanly possible. Don't get me wrong there. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get all 251, so I just kind of wanted to throw that little disclaimer out there just to get that out of the way. But, I mean, come on. It's Pokemon, you guys. If we get close, we get close enough. I mean, 251 is a ton. So you can select items in your pack like that and give them to your Pokemon and to hold on to them. We'll get more into these dynamics later as we progress through the walkthrough. But here's part 1. We're officially starting Silver. Look forward to more uploads in the future. I'm going to be uploading a lot more frequently. So stay tuned. I will see you guys later.